just quickly, Meghan Markle, apparently her attempt to get on the cover of Vogue has failed due to her long list of demands.
How tacky that is to even ask. There have been celebrities that have asked, for sure. A lot of times we would say, in the past, we would say, this is an original sample. It's one of a kind. We're happy to send you when it is out in the world. We'll gift it to you. I've seen this all, and the reality is she's not important enough for any designer to be like, here, take my original samples for your.
Meghan Markle may dress in expensive designer looks, but the brands behind those looks, they're reportedly sprinting the other way. Fashion expert Georgina Ramazzotti didn't hold back when she broke down why luxury powerhouses like Dior, Louis Vuitton, and Chanel keep their distance from Meghan. According to Georgina, these brands protect their image like a fortress, and associating with controversial figures is a gamble they flat out refuse to take. As Georgina put it, trying to score free designer pieces from brands that don't trust your public image is like trying to squeeze water from a stone. The requests were apparently very real. Claims surfaced that Meghan's stylist and PR team reached out directly to Chanel, Dior, and Valentino, not to discuss partnerships, but to beg for free clothing loans. Fashion houses were reportedly unimpressed, and insiders say designers had zero interest in becoming props in someone's image makeover. One designer allegedly called it a bad look for someone trying to rebuild her image. It didn't stop there within fashion circles. Meghan reportedly picked up a brutal nickname, the Duchess of Discount. Then came the Anna Wintour situation, and this one is pure chaos. In September 2022, a British Vogue cover featuring Meghan was reportedly in the works, which would have been a career-defining moment.
Dior says this is not true. They have no idea where this came from. And as I told you and your producers...
I bet it came from Meghan's team. I bet you anything it came from Meghan's team. Come on.
But things collapsed fast when Meghan's team allegedly pushed for full editorial control. Anna Wintour, one of the most untouchable figures in fashion history, shut that down immediately. The cover was scrapped. One fashion editor reportedly said Vogue would never hand over the level of control Meghan's team wanted, and that tension is apparently still burning today. Dior's response was even icier. No drama, no statement, just complete silence. When the Sussexes stepped back from royal life, many assumed Dior would come knocking. Instead, the brand quietly shifted its attention toward other royals. Rumors of a multi-million-dollar deal with Meghan began circulating, but Dior shut it down fast. A spokesperson confirmed there had been no contract negotiations or recent contact with Meghan Markle, making those rumors dead before they even landed. Then, to make it sting even more, the actress who portrayed Princess Diana in The Crown got linked to the brand. That had to hit different for the Sussexes. No major fashion brand wants to be caught chasing someone who's already chasing them, and the signs are impossible to ignore. During Paris Fashion Week in October 2025, designer Pierpaolo Piccioli reportedly let something slip. Meghan herself reached out asking to attend his show. The invite didn't come from the brand, it came from her. For someone with Meghan's profile to be making that kind of move, it says everything about where she actually stands in the fashion world right now. Her brand choices haven't exactly helped her case either. Meghan's appearance at a Balenciaga event raised serious eyebrows.
It's been revealed that Meghan Markle actually invited herself to this Paris Fashion Week show earlier this month. Now, the Balenciaga designer has claimed that she reached out and she said she would love to come to the show. I mean, Andrew, reading this, it does not surprise me.
Considering the brand had been at the center of a massive scandal in 2022 involving deeply inappropriate advertising content targeting minors. For someone who publicly champions child safety and moral integrity, the association struck many as a direct contradiction. Fashion circles weren't quiet about it. Some started calling her the Duchess of Hypocrisy. Then there's the mess surrounding her own lifestyle brand. When Meghan rebranded American Riviera Orchard to As Ever, she ran straight into a legal wall. US trademark officials flagged the name as too close to an existing clothing brand already called As Ever. The result? Clothing had to be pulled from the trademark application entirely, as Ever can sell food, home goods, and lifestyle products, but legally cannot market clothing under that name. For a woman who presents herself as a fashion authority, that's an embarrassing stumble that luxury brands would never allow to happen on their watch. Magazine editors don't exactly roll out the welcome mat for celebrities trying to call the shots, and Harper's Bazaar reportedly learned that the hard way. Claims surfaced that Meghan pushed hard for editorial control over her feature, and the final article reportedly read more like a polished PR package than an actual profile. But the most jaw-dropping detail, she allegedly asked to be formally introduced as the Duchess of Sussex to a room of just 2 people. As one observer put it, she needed to be formally announced, formally welcomed. I mean, that's extraordinary.
Slamming Meghan for this, calling her the Duchess of Hypocrisy for attending Balenciaga's show, seeing as there was a lot of controversy around this brand and an ad that was seen as quite creepy that involved children.
That's right. So the ads were very creepy. They were offensive, actually, more than creepy, I think. And they were children posing with teddy bears in bondage gear. And Balenciaga's brand was in the toilet almost overnight, really.
Yeah. Fashion insiders took note, and not in a good way. The contrast between Meghan and Catherine has become impossible for brands to ignore. While Meghan reportedly struggled to lock down luxury partnerships, Catherine's presence in the fashion world keeps growing stronger. Her outfits sell out within hours, generate millions in glowing press coverage, and never come loaded with controversy. For fashion houses, that comparison isn't even a close call. Borrowed clothes come with one unspoken rule: wear them, then send them back. But stories have been circulating for years suggesting Meghan hasn't always played by that code. One frequently mentioned example involves a green dress that reportedly resurfaced in a photo shoot after already being used elsewhere. Whether the full story holds up or not, the whispers alone are enough to make brands uncomfortable. As one designer allegedly put it, it's not outright stealing, but it breaks the unwritten rules. In an industry built entirely on trust and reputation, that kind of talk spreads fast and sticks even faster. Fashion brands don't just sell clothes, they sell an image, and they will guard that image at almost any cost. Meghan has built a reputation for attracting controversy wherever she goes, and for many brands, that's simply too much baggage to carry. Partnering with her doesn't just mean promoting a celebrity, it means signing up for royal drama, public disputes, and headlines that seem to follow her like a shadow. Most fashion houses would rather walk away entirely than risk their carefully built reputation getting buried under someone else's personal chaos. The math is simple and brands know it well. A company can pour millions into a campaign, carefully craft every detail.
More trouble for Meghan Markle launching her lifestyle brand. As Allison Hall reports, the new name she's chosen is already in use.
There's major fallout over the new name Meghan Markle has picked for her lifestyle brand.
And it's called As Ever. As Ever essentially means as it's always been. Of course, there will be fruit preserves. I think we're all clear at this point that jam is my jam.
But there's a big problem. Turns out As Ever is already taken.
And the moment Meghan is attached, the conversation shifts away from the product and straight toward the drama. No brand wants to spend that kind of money only to watch their message get swallowed by tabloid noise. For many fashion houses, keeping their distance isn't just the safe move, it's the smart one. Staying out of ongoing royal disputes is just good business. Then there's the track record problem, because fashion is a long game. Brands want ambassadors who stick around, build loyalty, and grow with the label over time. What they don't want is someone constantly cycling in and out of deals. Right now, that is exactly how Meghan is perceived across the industry. The pattern is hard to ignore. Her Spotify deal lasted just 1 season and 12 episodes before it was over. For brands thinking long-term, that kind of instability is a serious red flag. Her Netflix partnership has faced its own share of turbulence, and the fashion world is watching every move. Streaming deals, lifestyle brands, podcast ventures, Meghan has attempted to build an empire across multiple industries, but the results have been inconsistent at best. Netflix projects tied to her name have struggled to generate the cultural impact that would make brands eager to align with her. When a public figure's media ventures fail to land, it doesn't just hurt their entertainment career, it sends shockwaves straight into their commercial value. The fashion industry is ruthless when it comes to reading those signals.
I cannot believe it. So she's stunned fans, revealing a new Harper's Bazaar interview after a surprising behind-the-scenes detail about her conduct sent the internet into overdrive. So that even if there were only 2 people in the room, that Meghan Markle needed to be formally announced, formally welcomed. I mean, that's extraordinary.
Brands don't make ambassador decisions based on potential alone. They look at track records, staying power, and the ability to move product. Right now, Meghan's track record in the partnership world tells a complicated story. The Spotify deal collapsed after 1 season. Netflix has had its bumps. Her lifestyle brand hit trademark walls before it even launched properly. Each stumble gets logged, discussed, and remembered in the boardrooms where brand decisions get made. Fashion executives aren't in the business of betting on unstable investments, and right now, that's exactly how many of them see a Meghan Markle partnership. What makes this even more fascinating is how fast the tide turned. There was a moment not too long ago when Meghan seemed positioned to become one of the most powerful figures in fashion and culture. The wedding dress alone stopped the world. Every outfit she wore during her early royal days sent the internet into a frenzy. Brands were paying close attention, retailers were crashing under the weight of the so-called Meghan effect, and the fashion world seemed ready to embrace her completely. That window existed, and somehow it closed. The shift didn't happen overnight, but it happened fast enough to turn heads across the industry. As controversies stacked up and public opinion grew more divided, brands that had once been curious began quietly pulling back. The Meghan effect that once drove sales started carrying a very different kind of weight, one tied to polarizing headlines rather than aspirational appeal. Fashion thrives on aspiration.
Ruby and diamond pendant and earrings, first noted in 2017, probably from some royal collection. You know what I'm saying? When she goes out there with that jewelry on, you know it's been passed through generation and generation and generation, honey. Got to keep that stuff under lock and key. But Catherine, I love to see her doing meaningful work. And when you juxtapose this to what's going on in California with Harry and Meghan, there's just such light and day, right? There's just such a stark contrast.
On the idea that a product can lift your status and elevate your identity. When a celebrity's image becomes more divisive than desirable, that aspirational quality disappears and the brand's interest goes right along with it. Then there's the image consistency problem that simply won't go away. Over the years, Meghan has been repositioned as a humanitarian, a Hollywood actress, a royal, a rebel, a lifestyle guru, and a media mogul, sometimes all at once. While reinvention can be powerful, the fashion world demands a clear, stable identity above almost everything else. Luxury brands spend years, sometimes decades, crafting a singular vision for what they represent. They need their ambassadors to reflect that vision without wavering. When a celebrity's identity seems to shift with every press cycle, it creates a branding nightmare that most fashion houses simply refuse to touch. Stories describing Meghan as demanding and difficult to work with have followed her across industries, and in fashion, word travels at lightning speed. Repeated allegations of high staff turnover, workplace tension, and uncomfortable working environments have surrounded her inner circle for years. Her team has denied every single claim, and it's important to note that allegations are not confirmed facts. But here's the uncomfortable reality about how luxury fashion actually operates. Perception carries as much weight as truth, sometimes even more. A brand doesn't need a court verdict to decide they'd rather not take the risk.
Eagle-eyed viewers noticed this was the same green gown she wore during a 2022 photo shoot for Variety. And as sources told Page Six that Meghan allegedly took this gown, which retails for $1,695 US. She allegedly took the dress from the shoot without asking. Surely that can't.
The mere existence of persistent, repeated stories is enough to make cautious executives quietly walk away. The Harper's Bazaar situation only added more layers to an already complicated picture. claims that Meghan pushed for significant editorial control over her feature, combined with the widely discussed detail about requesting a formal introduction in a room of just 2 people, painted a portrait of someone who operates very differently from what fashion editors expect. Publications and brands want collaborations that feel natural and mutually beneficial. When the relationship starts feeling one-sided, like the celebrity is extracting value rather than adding it, enthusiasm vanishes fast. Fashion editors talk, brand executives share notes, and a reputation within those circles can be nearly impossible to rebuild once it's gone. The Balenciaga Association brought an entirely different kind of heat. In an industry where brand alignment sends powerful signals, Meghan's appearance at a Balenciaga event raised serious questions about her judgment. The brand had faced enormous public backlash in 2022 over deeply inappropriate advertising content involving minors, leaving a lasting mark on its reputation. For someone who regularly uses her platform to champion values, child welfare, and social responsibility, those optics were genuinely hard to defend. Other fashion brands took notice. If Meghan isn't careful about which names she attaches herself to, why would they trust her to carefully represent theirs? The Paris Fashion Week moment deserves a second look because it says something loud. When it emerged that Meghan had reportedly reached out herself to secure attendance at Pier Paolo Piccioli's show in October 2025, rather than receiving a formal invitation, it shifted the entire dynamic. In fashion, exclusivity is everything. The moment it becomes clear that someone is pushing their way into spaces rather than being invited into them, the perception changes completely. Brands want to pursue ambassadors, not be pursued by them. That reversal of power is something the industry spots immediately, and it is not a flattering position to be in. Catherine's continued dominance in the fashion space only sharpens the contrast further. While Meghan reportedly struggles to secure luxury partnerships, Catherine consistently generates some of the most valuable fashion coverage in the world, without controversy, without drama, and without requesting editorial control over anything. Her outfits sell out within minutes.
What about Meghan and Harry? I see that Spotify have dumped, and I can't imagine why, because it was just such riveting audio.
Apparently it did rate well amongst some audiences, but
I can tell you exactly who it would have rated well amongst, but yeah.
Create overwhelmingly positive press and build genuine goodwill for every brand she touches. For fashion houses watching both women from a distance, the choice between stability and unpredictability isn't a difficult one. In business, results speak louder than feelings. The borrowed clothing issue, while it may seem minor on the surface, actually cuts straight to the heart of how fashion relationships work. The entire system of loaning garments, accessories, and samples runs entirely on trust. Designers send out pieces worth thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, with nothing more than an unspoken understanding that items will be returned promptly and in perfect condition. Stories suggesting that borrowed pieces weren't always returned on time, or that items reappeared in unintended contexts, strike directly at that foundation. As one designer allegedly put it, it's not outright stealing, but it breaks the unwritten rules. In a world where relationships are currency, breaking unwritten rules can cost far more than any single garment ever could. What ties all of these threads together goes beyond any single incident, any single brand rejection, or any single headline. It's the complete picture they create when you step back and look at everything at once. Individual stories can always be explained away. Brands decline celebrities every single day. Trademark complications are a normal part of launching any business. Editorial disagreements happen in publishing constantly. Staff turnover is a reality in every industry on the planet. But when every single data point across every single industry keeps pointing in the exact same direction, it stops looking like a series of unfortunate coincidences and starts looking like something much more deliberate. Fashion brands didn't get to where they are by ignoring patterns. Their entire survival depends on reading what's coming before it arrives. And what many of them appear to see coming with Meghan is a level of complexity, controversy, and unpredictability that they simply are not willing to absorb. The relationship between a luxury fashion brand and its chosen ambassador is one of the most carefully calculated partnerships in the entire business world. It is not just about aesthetics or follower counts or magazine covers. It is about trust, alignment, and the silent message that partnership sends to every customer, every competitor, and every editor paying attention. When a brand puts its name next to a celebrity's face, it is making a statement about its own identity. It is saying this person represents what we stand for. This person reflects our values. This person is who our customer aspires to be. That kind of statement carries enormous weight, and the brands that have survived generations understand that better than anyone.
It appears to now be all-out war between Buckingham Palace and Meghan Markle. The palace today ordered an investigation into allegations the Duchess bullied staff back in 2018. And that was before more explosive claims were revealed from her tell-all interview with Oprah Winfrey, targeting what she's calling the firm.
They did not build empires by making reckless decisions based on short-term buzz. And that is precisely where the Meghan Markle situation becomes so fascinating to watch from the outside. Because the story of Meghan and the fashion world is not simply a story about rejection, it is a story about a window that opened, dazzled the entire industry, and then quietly shut before anyone fully understood what had happened. There was a moment, genuinely not that long ago, where Meghan Markle was positioned to become one of the most commercially powerful women in the history of fashion. The evidence was right there for everyone to see. The wedding dress stopped the world. The outfit she chose during her early royal appearances sent retailers into a frenzy. Websites crashed. Stock sold out within minutes. The so-called Meghan effect was real, it was measurable, and it was exactly the kind of cultural power that luxury brands spend fortunes trying to manufacture. She had it naturally, and the fashion world was watching with intense interest. But somewhere between that extraordinary entrance and where things stand today, something shifted. And the shift did not happen all at once. It crept in gradually, quietly, one story at a time. First came the whispers about difficult working relationships. Then came the reports about staff turnover that seemed unusually high for someone so early in a public career. Then came the allegations about borrowed clothing not being returned under the agreed terms. Then came the editorial control disputes that made publishing houses uncomfortable. Then came the brand associations that raised eyebrows among people whose entire job is to protect image. Each individual incident could be dismissed. Together, they formed something that the fashion industry has a specific word for: a liability. The multi-billion-dollar fashion industry was built on relationships that took generations to carefully develop. Relationships between legendary designers and powerful editors that span entire careers. Relationships between heritage houses and royal families that stretch back centuries. Relationships between brands and cultural figures so perfectly aligned that the partnership feels less like a business deal and more like an inevitability. Those relationships are protected with an almost obsessive level of care because everyone inside the industry understands exactly how fragile they are. They are genuinely difficult to build. They require time, consistency, trust, and an almost perfect alignment of values and vision. And they are devastatingly easy to destroy, sometimes with nothing more than a single bad headline at the wrong moment. Every brand decision carries enormous weight. Every association sends a message that ripples outward further than most people realize. Every ambassador chosen reflects something fundamental about what a brand believes, what it stands for, and who it ultimately wants to be in the eyes of the world. When the potential downside of an association begins to outweigh every conceivable upside, the decision practically makes itself, and that appears to be exactly where the fashion world has landed with Meghan. It is not personal. Fashion is rarely personal in the way outsiders imagine. It is cold, calculated, and fundamentally driven by return on investment. The question a brand executive asks is never simply, "Do I like this person?" The question is always, what does putting our name next to this person's name do to our brand value? What does it do to how our existing customers perceive us? What does it do to the customers we are trying to attract? What does it do to our relationships with editors, with retailers, with the other ambassadors already representing our house? When those answers start coming back complicated, the conversation ends quickly and quietly, without drama and without announcement, which is exactly how the fashion world prefers to operate. The comparison with Catherine is one that the fashion industry keeps returning to, not out of cruelty, but because it is genuinely instructive. Catherine has become one of the most commercially valuable figures in the entire global fashion landscape, and she has done it without a single controversy, without a single editorial dispute, and without ever appearing to chase the industry's attention. The dynamic works precisely because it flows in one direction. Brands pursue Catherine, not the other way around. Her appearances generate overwhelmingly positive coverage. Her outfit choices drive measurable sales spikes that brands can point to in boardrooms. She has never been associated with a scandal that required damage control. She has never been linked to a brand controversy that forced executives into uncomfortable conversations. For fashion houses watching both women navigate the same landscape, the contrast is not just noticeable, it is the entire story. What makes the Paris Fashion Week revelation so significant is exactly that point about power dynamics. When reports emerged that Meghan had personally reached out to secure her own attendance at Pierpaolo Piccioli's show in October 2025, rather than receiving a formal invitation from the brand itself, it exposed something that the fashion world finds almost impossible to overlook. The entire prestige economy of high fashion is built on the idea of exclusivity and selectivity. Being chosen matters. Being invited matters. The moment the flow of pursuit reverses, the moment it becomes clear that a celebrity is working to get into spaces rather than being pulled into them, the perception of that celebrity's standing in the industry shifts permanently. Brands want to be the ones doing the selecting. The moment they sense someone needs them more than they need that someone, the leverage disappears entirely. And in fashion, leverage is everything. The Spotify situation cast a long shadow that the fashion world has not forgotten. 1 season, 12 episodes, and then silence. For brands thinking about long-term ambassador relationships that are designed to build and grow over years, that kind of track record is not just a yellow flag, it is a red one. The fashion industry is not interested in one-season experiments. It is not interested in partnerships that generate initial buzz and then collapse under the weight of whatever comes next. It wants stability, longevity, and the kind of consistent presence that reinforces a brand's message every single time it appears. The Spotify collapse did not happen in a vacuum. It happened in full public view, was discussed extensively across media, and became part of the permanent record that brand executives consult before making decisions. It sits alongside the Netflix complications, the trademark battles, and the editorial disputes as evidence of a pattern that is difficult to argue away. The trademark disaster with As Ever deserves more attention than it typically receives, because it speaks directly to something fashion brands care about, deeply professionalism and attention to detail. Launching a lifestyle brand without first securing the necessary trademarks is not a minor oversight. In the fashion and lifestyle industry, trademark protection is one of the very first steps taken before any public announcement is made. The fact that US trademark officials flagged the As Ever name as too similar to an existing brand called Ever, forcing clothing to be pulled from the application entirely, suggests a level of due diligence that fell significantly short of industry standards. For luxury houses that spend years and enormous legal resources protecting their own intellectual property, that kind of stumble signals something about how operations are being managed behind the scenes. It is the kind of detail that gets quietly noted and does not get forgotten. The image consistency issue runs deeper than most casual observers realize. Luxury fashion brands are not just selling products. They are selling an idea, a vision, a feeling that has been carefully cultivated over decades. Their ambassadors need to embody that vision with absolute clarity and consistency. What has made Meghan's public identity so complicated to read is the sheer number of different versions that have been presented over a relatively short period of time. The humanitarian, the Hollywood actress, the royal game changer, the rebel who walked away from the institution, the lifestyle guru launching products, the media mogul building an entertainment empire. Each version is compelling on its own. But stacked together, shifting rapidly from one to the next, they create something that brands find genuinely difficult to attach themselves to. Which version are they signing? Which version will be representing them in 6 months? Which version shows up when a controversy hits? Those are questions that luxury houses need clear answers to before committing, and right now, clear answers appear to be in short supply. The borrowed clothing issue, minor as it might appear to outsiders, actually cuts to the absolute core of how the fashion loan system functions. The entire arrangement is built on nothing more than trust and professional reputation. No contracts, no deposits, no insurance in the traditional sense. Designers send out pieces worth extraordinary amounts of money based entirely on the understanding that the relationship is mutual and respectful. Stories suggesting that borrowed items were not always returned under the agreed terms, whether fully accurate or not, circulate through fashion circles with remarkable speed. They get discussed at dinners, mentioned in passing conversations between editors and executives, and quietly factor into decisions that are never publicly announced. As one designer allegedly put it, it's not outright stealing, but it breaks the unwritten rules. Breaking unwritten rules in the fashion world carries consequences that no press release ever acknowledges, but everyone inside the industry feels. The Balenciaga Association remains one of the most puzzling chapters in this entire story. In a landscape where every brand alignment is scrutinized and every appearance sends a signal, choosing to associate publicly with a brand that had faced such severe backlash over content that put young people at risk raised questions that went beyond fashion judgment. For someone whose public platform is significantly built on advocacy for values, child welfare, and social responsibility, the optics created a contradiction that was difficult to reconcile. Other fashion brands notice not because they are moralistic, but because they are strategic. If a potential ambassador is not carefully managing their own brand associations, how confident can they be that she will carefully manage theirs? So there you have it, 13 reasons why some of the biggest, most powerful names in fashion appear to want nothing to do with Meghan Markle. From borrowed clothes and trademark disasters to editorial power struggles, reversed power dynamics, and billion-dollar brands choosing deliberate silence over partnership, the picture that emerges is one of an industry that has quietly, carefully, and decisively made up its mind. It is not a picture painted by any single scandal or any single falling out. It is a mosaic built from dozens of smaller moments, each one individually manageable, but collectively forming something that the fashion world's most powerful decision-makers have clearly chosen to walk away from. Whether Meghan can change that perception, rebuild those relationships, and reclaim the extraordinary fashion influence she once genuinely seemed destined to have, remains one of the most compelling storylines playing out in real time across the industry. The window that once existed was real, the Meghan effect was real, the opportunity was right there. But based on everything the evidence currently suggests, the fashion world is not holding its breath waiting for a comeback, and the brands that matter most have already quietly moved on. Now, the real question belongs to you. If you were building your own fashion brand from the ground up, with everything you now know, would you choose Meghan Markle as the face of it? This is not a simple question, and there is no easy answer. The talent is there. The profile is undeniable. The history of genuine cultural impact is documented and real. But so is everything else. Drop your honest thoughts in the comments below. No judgment, just real conversation. Because this topic genuinely divides people and every perspective matters. If this video gave you something to think about, hit that like button and share it with someone who would have a lot to say about all of this. Make sure you are subscribed so you never miss what we are bringing next, and we will see you in the next one.